Let's go ahead and create our user interface here. That way we are able to then push something into our Firestore database here, okay? So very simple. Back to our activity main here. I'm gonna just create something real quick. Delete this hello world there. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna add, let's go to text. I wanna just plain text like that. On the top there. In fact, let me go ahead and get rid of all of this. I don't want this constraint. I want to add a linear layout. Get rid of all this stuff that we don't need. And I'm gonna make this orientation. It's going to be vertical. Okay, in fact, let's take a look. There we go, it's looking good. I'm going to get rid of this for now. Very good. I'm going to just do over here. I'm going to say edit text. I'm going to say match parent, the width, wrap content. There we go. You can see it's starting there. I'm going to give it an ID. I'm going to say edit text title. Give a hint that says enter title. Extract that, enter title. Very good. There it is. Let's give a overall padding here of about 18 dp like that. That seems to help. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it all in here. And this is going to be edit text description, or let's just say thoughts. Right, so this is what we are going to add our thoughts, whatever we're thinking about. All right, so we have looking good. Let's go ahead and put a button here. I'm going to make match parent, wrap content, give an ID that will say save button like this. Text is going to say something we haven't created yet. It's going to be just say save. Extract, say save. There we go. It's looking good. Not too bad. All right. Let's go ahead and give a quick run here, just so we can see how will things look. I'm going to use Nougat. And voila, we have, oh, this says enter title. This should be enter thoughts. Like this, extract, enter thoughts. There we go, enter thoughts. Very good. Let's refresh real quick here. We should be able to see the difference now. And there we go. Okay, so the idea here is very simple. We're gonna go ahead and enter something and then something else and save. We're going to be able to save to our collection. So the idea here is we're going to in code create a collection and then create the actual document, and inside we're going to add the data which we're going to be get from our edit text here. It's time for us to go back to main activity here. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and get all of our edit text and all of our other widgets here. So I'm going to say private edit text, enter title, private edit text, enter thought, and private, that was a button, save button like such. All right, I'm going to go ahead and say save button. That's set on click listener, pass our new on click listener, and then voila. Okay. The next thing we need to do is to get a reference to our Firestore so that we can then create our collection and then document and ultimately have our data. So let's go ahead and create our connection here to Firestore. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to say private, and I'm going to say Firestore or Firebase Firestore. There we go. And I'm going to call this DB, and I'm going to instantiate it by calling the Firebase Firestore and get instance. That's it. So now we have our instance DB here, which is going to be to our Firestore. essentially we're getting a hold of our database cloud Firestore here. Very good. So this all is going to happen inside of our onclick, because the idea is to, when we click this button here, hopefully there's something inside of our edit text, we're going to be able to save everything. But now we need to create the actual structure. So remember, when we save this data that we're going to be saving here, everything is going to be key value pairs. Now we need to create the actual keys, right? So to simplify our lives, I'm going to come up here, keys. I'm going to say PSF. As for public static final, it's going to be a string type. And because it's final, I'm going to make this caps. I'm going to call this key underscore title. And I'm going to give it a string that will say title like that. Okay. I'm going to copy this, do the same thing for the other field. I like to append the key so it's easier for us to know exactly what we're talking about. So I'm going to say key thoughts, or just thought, like that. Call this thought. All right. So we're going to use this to then create the structure that we want, which is going to be in our document. Very good. So inside onclick here, first of all, I'm going to create a string called title. It's going to be equal to our edit text. So I'm going to say edit text is going to be equal to our title edit text dot get text to string like that. And I like to call trim just to get rid of all the non-essentials. I'm going to create another string thought is equal enter thought get text to string, and I'm going to trim that as well. Okay. Once we have our title and our thought that we're getting, of course, from our edit text here, what we need to do now is to put this data inside of a map, because that is exactly what is needed for us to put inside of this collection here. So our collection that we're going to be adding into, which we haven't created yet, okay, we're just making sure that all of our data is actually set up, requires us to pass it as a hash map. In this case, just a map. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and create a map like that. For the key is going to be string, right? Because we are going to pass these keys, these ones that we created here, title and thought. And of course, the value is going to be just an object, okay? Any Java object, okay? I'm going to call this data. I'm going to just equal new hash map like that. So I'm instantiating a hash map of type map, which will have key, string types, and object will be, in this case, anything that we pass. In this case, will be title and thoughts. Okay. So then I'm going to say data.put, right? I can put for the first key, which is going to be key title. I'm going to put what? Our title, right? Say data.put, then key thought is going to be our thought. There we go. So now we have our data created, our data map created, which we'll be able to pass into Firestore database. So now that we have our data map set up here, ready for us to use it and pass it on to Firestore, we need to invoke our Firebase DB here, which we created at the top here, right? We got the instance. It's time for us to actually create the collection and the document, and of course pass our data. Okay, so here's how we do it. We'll say DB. I can say dot collection like that. Now I have to pass the name for this collection, right? In this case here, I'm just going to call this journal. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and say dot document. I need to create a document. You see, for the document here, I can actually let Firestore to add its own ID, but in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and create my own. So this document is I'm going to call this first thoughts, something like that, and dot. I'm going to go ahead and say set, and look at that. The set allows us to add an object, right? What object we're going to set to? It's going to be our data like that. Okay. Now we may stop here, and that's sort of fine. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to also say dot add on success listener and pass new on success listener, because we want to be listening if things happen correctly, if it was on success or not. And before I finish here, I'm going to also add on failure listener, new on failure like that. So if something goes wrong, we can just let ourselves know that something went wrong. So if something goes wrong, I'm going to say log D like that. I'm going to go ahead and create this tag actually so that we know where we are. Very good. And in this case here, I'm just going to go ahead and add our e.toString. So it shows us exactly what the error is. So let's go ahead and create a constant field tag in our main activity here. And I'm just going to say main activity like that. So every time we use a tag, we'll know exactly where it's located. In this case, in main activity. All right. So most importantly here on success, I'm going to go ahead and say toast.make text main activity this. I'm going to say success. And that's it, my folks. Remember what we're doing. We're invoking our database, which indeed is our Firebase Firestore. We get the instance of it. So in this case, we're getting this instance here. And then once we get that instance, we need to create a collection, which is what we're doing here. Dot collection. We need to pass a name. And then we create a document inside of our collection, right? We said the name of this document is going to be first thoughts. And then we set data. We add data inside of it. Which data? The data we created here, which has to be inside of a map, as we see here. Okay? And then we add on success listener just to listen if things go wrong or things actually were successful. So in case of a success attempt here, we're just going to go ahead and toast success. Else, we're just going to go ahead and say on failure and pass in whatever exception we're getting. All right, moment of truth. I'm going to save this. Go ahead and run altogether the application, and I'm going to open this right there so you can actually see. Oops, looks like we have a problem. Let's see what is the problem here. So to solve this problem, we have to do a few things. First of all, let's open our project here. I'm going to go to our Gradle. So this is going to build Gradle project, not module app. And notice here, if you see these squiggly lines here, that means we need to come here and update a few things. So I'm going to change to 3.3.2. There we go. Also change this one to the newer version. I'm going to sync. That's very good. That's the first thing. And then here, it's always nice to read instructions because things change and we need to make sure that, that we are a part with that. Okay, so going back to our guide, so Firebase, google.com, document setup. Remember this page? Very good. I'm going to scroll down here. You can read, it says that the first option, which is recommended, is to use the Firebase console setup workflow, which we didn't do. Okay, we did this one with Android Studio, which is fine still. But if you go down here, you'll notice that there's few things that we need to do to configure our Firebase configuration, which in turn is going to also be our Firestore configuration. It says here we have to add this other dependency here. So this is the Google services that must be present in our project in order for this to work. So I'm going to copy this and make sure that you know exactly where to put it. It says it has to be in root level, so project level, Gradle, build.gradle. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and open this one here. So when we open this one here, notice that we already have it. So this is good. So we're winning. It even says 4.2.0, which is exactly the version that we have. So it has to be exactly the version that we see here. Okay. So when we watch this video, you may end up seeing 4.3 or 5 or a higher version, but that's totally fine. It has to be this one. But we're not done yet. The next thing we need to do here, it says in our module Apple level, we have to add this one here, which is the apply.plugin. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Notice it says has to be to the bottom of the file. So let's go to our module app, Gradle, and it has to be outside. Let me go close all of this out. Outside of everything, I'm going to paste it all in there. Google Services now is part of our project. Don't forget sync. It takes a few seconds. All right, there we go. Everything is good. Let's go back to our main activity here. Close this down for now. Everything is still the same. Let's see if this is going to work. Let's run. Hopefully we don't get any errors. And we still have an error. Let's see what is the problem right now. It looks like our first error we had about Firestore, it's gone. And now we have this set on click. I think we forgot, or rather I forgot, I always do this. I forgot to actually instantiate our save button here. So that's not a problem. I'm going to come here and save button. I just have to go and fetch it. Find by ID, r.id.save button like this. Let's go ahead and run real quick here just to see, make sure that we are able to see what we want to see. And voila, everything seems to be working fine. Very good. So if you have those errors, make sure to go through the same process that I just showed you to fix that error there and make sure everything is good. Okay. All right. At this point here, let's go ahead and see if this works. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and open my window here. So this is inside of our database, live database, Cloud Firestore. Hopefully when I add something here, let's say the first title is going to be first thought. Say, I thought I was doing everything right. I guess I was wrong. Oh, programming. There we go. Moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and save this. We have a problem. Let's refresh this, see if something went in there. And of course, nothing was sent. Let's see what is the problem. Let's go to run here. All right, the same problem again. I didn't actually instantiate all of those. Oh my goodness. This is a bit embarrassing, but let's go and do this. I'm not going to edit this out because just to show you that I'm also a human being. I get caught up on trying to get you to understand everything and I forget the basics. All right, let's go to edit text. Let's see what we call them. We call enter title. Find by ID, r.id.enter. Say title, edit text title. Okay, and enter thought. Find by ID, r.id.thought. There we go. Oh boy. Okay, let's save this and give a run. I hope this time I haven't made very stupid mistakes, folks. I apologize, but such is life. Okay, let's try again. Let's try again. Fingers crossed. Say, my first thought. I am human after all. I make stupid mistakes. Sorry. All right, moment of truth. Click. Very good. Success was called. Let's come down here. Refresh. We should see our document, hopefully with something. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see. And voila. Voila, indeed. We have our journal here. If you click on your journal, there's first thought as our document. You click in. You should see I am human, and there it is. Oh, look at that. So satisfying. Let's make this a little bigger so I can make you happy as well. We did it, folks. We did it. In fact, probably you saw all the errors, all the mistakes I made before. I apologize for that. It happens. But nevertheless, here is the moment of truth. We were able to create our first collection called Journal. And the item, in this case, our document name, we said first thoughts. And then there it is. We have a field called thought that says what we said. I'm human after all. I make stupid mistakes. Sorry. And the title was my first thought. There we go. After all that great work, we're able to push our first Firestore data, Firestore collection. All right, so congratulations and thank you for your patience here because I made a lot of mistakes. But in any case, now you understand that I'm a human. and we were able to get this to work. So what I want you to do now is to see if you can replicate exactly what we did and start adding data into our database here, or rather in our collection. All right, go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in the next video.